Welcome back. If you're in the great state of Florida, which is my home state, now it's time to start pruning your fruit trees. If you live north of there, you still got a little bit of time. But for that spring pruning, you want to get it before they start bursting out of dormancy. And when they don't have any leaves, now is the time to cut. One of the trees I was asked about recently was the mulberry tree. Somebody said they were looking for information on pruning mulberry trees, and they came across my site, my videos, and they said, you know, I don't want to go too far, but I want to keep this tree small. That's wonderful. A mulberry tree, depending on the variety, can get very big. The red mulberry tree gets huge. The black mulberries can be kind of middle trees. The white mulberries can be middle to short trees. But if you don't prune a mulberry tree, it's going to get tall, and the point of the mulberry tree is generally to eat mulberries. And if you can harvest the mulberries without having to climb the tree or shake the tree too crazy, you know, you're not going to lose as many to the birds. And another thing is, because that tree gets really big, if you put it in your garden, it's going to end up taking over your garden and just covering this whole area. You don't want a great big shade tree. You want a harvestable tree, I would think, in general, unless you just want a tree for the birds, and that's okay too. But in that case, you're just not going to prune it, so skip this video. Pruning it though will get you to a point where you can keep that tree under control, and with mulberries, it's surprising how far you can prune them. You can actually take a mulberry tree and prune it all the way down to the ground, and it'll grow back. It's ridiculous. Now, if it's a grafted one and you cut below the graft, you're going to lose whatever variety was grafted on top. But a lot of mulberries are not grafted. A lot of them are varieties that were started by cuttings. So if you have a mulberry tree and you're looking at it right now, you can see all the branches because it doesn't have any leaves on it before it wakes up. This is the time to cut it. What I like to do with a mulberry tree is to take it down to, if it's a young tree, say it's grown up to 8 foot, I'll cut it in half, cut it down to 4 foot, or I'll even cut it down to 3 foot, and then I'll select a few branches that I want to be my main branches, and I'll leave a few. So if I've got a whole ton of branches coming back, I have no problem cutting that thing way down, and then I cut the branches that are crossing and running into each other on the inside, because they're not going to be the best for fruiting anyways. It becomes a jumbled mess. And mulberries are very vigorous. You can cut a tree like this, and when it grows back, it's going to fruit actually the same year. They tend to grow on the new growth that comes out after you prune. Even if you prune it in the summer, it's going to come back with some growth and usually give you a few mulberries, even though it's past mulberry season. So don't be afraid with your mulberry trees that you're going to prune too far. You can go ahead and cut those suckers way far. Try it one year. Go ahead and take a few branches off right now and see what happens. It's ridiculous how fast they grow back. And so if you can cut it down and kind of every year when it starts to get big and tall, just hack it way back again and hack it way back again. Eventually it starts to learn to stay at a certain height. You can actually do what's called pollarding tree and keep it at around the same spot and cut it back every year. And those branches that you cut off, you can chop up and use for compost. They rot pretty quickly, so just throw them in a pile and let them slowly rot away over a year or two and use that compost to feed your gardens. But mulberries, do not worry that you're going to kill it. You're almost certainly not going to kill it. You can cut those things over and over again. And another thing you can do with them, if you don't feel like cutting but you want to make the tree stay short, is you can bend them out sideways. It's called festooning. I'll show you a picture here. This is a tree that I have festooned by tying cinder blocks to it and bending the branches down. You bend the branches down and then you tie it with a cinder block, and then when the branch gets it starts to grow a little further out and it starts to get used to being at this level, you go ahead and you bend it again and you pull it farther. And you can just keep tightening up those things and getting the tree to just do this weird sideways growing where you can harvest it. I've seen some trees done this way that, you wouldn't believe how weird you can make these trees look. And they'll keep growing. Remember, trees grow out of cracks in walls. Trees grow in between other trees. Trees grow in massively packed areas, and they find their way out and they stick one branch out to the light. And trees get cut down by fires. They get chewed down by deer. Things happen to trees all the time, and trees grow out of it. So if you as the gardener are not afraid, you can shape and bend those trees, particularly mulberry trees. or peach trees and stone fruit are another one that's very easy to shape and control and get what you want to out of that tree. Don't try it on palm trees because they die. But for mulberry trees, don't worry too much. Right now is the time to get out and cut it and get what you want out of that tree. And don't be afraid of it. You're not going to kill it. Thanks for watching, and until next time, may your thumbs always be green.